go for race 3 of the Hamilton 400. Let's check out the Fuso grid. Has been a few little changes after the end of race 2, and the IPO, the Investigating and Prosecuting Officer, has checked out a couple of things. But Garth Tander will start alongside Stephen Richards on the front. James Courtney and Lee Holdsworth will be positions 3 and 4. Cam McConville and Rick Kelly occupy 5 and 6. The Ford Performance Racing car of Mark Winterbottom is alongside the story of the weekend, Fabian Coulthard, the story of those who've really shown success. Jason Richards and Tony D'Alberto round out our top 10. So there we should have found Michael Caruso, but he has been shuffled further back in the field. We'll get to that in a second and explain exactly why. Stephen Johnson and Craig Lowndes, positions 13 and 14. Both of those guys have had a very tough weekend.
Some details just to fill in a couple of question marks, and James Courtney had a bit of a tardy start. There's Caruso, you mentioned him, back in position 18 after the equivalent of the pit lane drive-through penalty of 28 seconds. James had a bit of a tardy start as a result, a couple of little clutch issues in that last race, number 2. We were wondering why Rick Kelly lost a bit of pace. We know obviously there was a problem in his pit stop, but once he ended up back in the order a little, and he also sidestepped Lee Holdsworth, who came down the inside at turn 1, and Rick decided it was better to leave room than argue the point. He knocked the rear tyres around towards the end, so that was the reason why he finished in 6th position. Just further to some of the other issues in that last race, Matthew, Andrew Thompson made very heavy contact with Mark Skaife in turn 1. We saw that after the restart of the safety car intervention. He's copped a fine of $5,000, $3,000 suspended till the 31st of December this year. And Shane Van Gisbergen made contact with Andrew Jones, and also at the first corner on the opening lap with Craig Lowndes. He's also been fined $5,000, suspended $3,000 until the end of the year, 31st of the 12th. So a couple of things to look out for there. Garth Tander, we noticed that he was under investigation, and we wondered why after race number 2. It was just that they wanted to see the card out of that car to review the vision, because they thought that he might have been able to provide some answers to questions that were unrelated to his car from other competitors in the field.
A lot of questions, Neil. Here's a few answers as well on that Andrew Thompson thing. He is out of this race. They've got a diff issue, so he'll take no further part. Todd Kelly, we saw a muffler come off as he hit those tyre barriers. It was his that caused a bit of an issue there. And then, of course, with no muffler, he had a lot of heat heating up that left rear tyre, so the pressure built up and his car was handling quite badly. The pit lane speed limit, of course, is 40 k's. You get 3 strikes and then you get a talking to. Car 2 of Mark Skaife had a 4 in a row where he was well over the limit. The crew have been told to tell Mark, last chance, mate. Take it nice and easy as you come into here. And Jason Richards tells me May 25 in Christchurch is his annual kart race. So if you're a Kiwi and you want to come along, have a squiz at that. Car-wise, no suspension problems or steering problems at the moment. So he says he's ready. I said, for race 3, he said no, for qualifying.
Gibbo, one bloke in pit lane who's never stuck for a word is Gary Rogers from Gary Rogers Motorsport. His driver, Lee Holdsworth, is on the 2nd row of the grid. I said to Gary, what instructions have you got for him? What have you said to Lee to just get him going and make a good start? He said, mate, I can't tell him anything. If he doesn't know what to do, he doesn't deserve to be there. Classic Gary Rogers.
Isn't it? Thanks, Peretz.
He had a couple of cars starting in the top 10, of course, way back in the beginning at qualifying, and in the approaching race number 1. And he said if he had a couple of cars in the top 10, he may break the Leica out again. We're trying to hold him to that. We've seen some scary images of Gary in the past. I asked him about it. We saw him earlier today, and he said, oh, we didn't have any, but if we could rustle some up, he'd be happy to engage. So we might take him up on that offer in the near future.
Lock it away.
Lots of people with damaged cars through the turn 4 chicane. There's Andrew Thompson's car. We just heard about that sideline for this race. It was a monumental impact. I had a look at the onboard vision out of that car. He made heavy contact with Mark Skaife into turn 1. Craig Lowndes was on the outside of that, you may recall, and he was carted wide as a result. Lowndes was a bit of a punching bag in race number 2, and it's been that way for Team Vodafone all weekend. But I was going to make the point that Shane Price, damage resulting from tripping over the chicane at turn 4, Russell Ingall as well, Greg Murphy, Shane Van Gisbergen had some issues there. But the drivers are going to have to take it very carefully in this third one if they get to get through. With Greg Murphy. Sprint Gas Racing Commodore, and despite no real results to show for it, there's been enough sign of speed from this car to think that they have taken a step forward with it. Also carrying one of our onboard cameras, Russell Ingall. Super Cheap Auto Holden Commodore. Been one of those weekends for Rusty as well, despite practicing very well on Friday. Really, from the minute they got trapped by the weather in qualifying and zigged when they needed to zag, they've been in strife ever since, and it's been a case of an awkward weekend since that point. Will Davison, Jim Beam Racing, problem for him, couldn't start the car, restart the car in that second race, was stranded in the pit lane. That in turn held up Stephen Johnson, because he was on the road to recovery prior to that.
And here is Garth Tander, 2 out of 2. So this is it, the final race of the Hamilton 400 for 2008. Tander's away. He'll take a handy lead down to turn 1.
And Courtney's going with him because Stephen Richards had a shocker. He dropped the clutch and the thing just sat still for a moment. Big lock up back in the pack. Trouble down here. Marcus Marshall's one of those that's made contact with another car.
It was one of the Jack Daniels cars caught on the inside, I think. Here we go down to 2. Covering each other. Bit of contact right there involving Marshall again. On board with Rick Kelly. Now 3. But that couldn't have been a better start for Garth Tander. Into the chicane. Watch this. Left, right, left.
Somebody carried quite a lock break into there. There was a lot of blue smoke. There's a scramble on the run up to turn 5. Oh, D'Alberto runs high and wide on the curbing at 5. It's slippery there. Tyres are cold. Pressures are yet to come up. 33, Lee Holdsworth is off.
Brake coming in. I got my foot on the throttle as well with the brake.
That'll explain the smoke signals that I made reference to. So you heard Lee tell the story. He caught both pedals and the safety car's being deployed because of the awkward positioning for Lee Holdsworth. He got both pedals. That means he had a percentage of throttle on at the same time as grabbing the brake, and it lit up the tyre, and I'd venture to say that he's ended up rubbing the wall as a result of popping a tyre after that. Let's have a look again on replay.
Yep, straight over to the our left, his right. And he whacked that concrete barrier pretty hard too. There he goes. Safety gate goes flinging. But it all did its job. And yet again, the Hamilton Street Circuit bites first. We'll have a restart when we come back, as Tony D'Alberto comes in for some running repairs. Still under safety car here. He should be able to turn the lights off at the end of this lap. But it gives us a little bit of time on the Zinger replay to see what unfolded at the start. As I mentioned, Tander shot off. Stephen Richards didn't get a good one, so Courtney was the beneficiary there. Lock up on the outside involved Paul Morris. On the inside, it was Marcus Marshall getting caught up. And down to turn 2 we go. Well, it's back at turn 1, sorry, different angle. So it was the Jack Daniels, yeah, the Todd Kelly car. And then another little crunch right behind that, caught in the middle.
That was Marshall and Kelly side by side there. Lots of people having to take to the traffic island, including Michael Patrizzi. And now we'll try and see if we can answer the question in relation to Tony D'Alberto. Here's the reason why. And he's crossed up over the front of one of the Sprint Gas racing cars. And who was that? Was that Jason Richards? Yep. And so that's made big contact with the wall. Not quite sure why that unfolded that way. The lights are out on the safety car, so we're about to go racing again. But the end game here is that James Courtney's made a good start. A tardy start initially for Stephen Richards. Dropped him from 2nd to 3rd. Cam McConville's up to 4th. Safety car's going to jump out of the way here in a heartbeat, and away we go.
The Toll HRT Commodore, single file, down the front straight. Back we go again. So 3 or 4 laps under safety car. They tried to keep the temperature in the tyres. But effectively, this is the start of race 3.
Whoops. Paul Morris climbing over the Holden sign.
Marshall and Kelly. Marshall and Kelly. And one of the Jim Beam cars came off second best too. And there is the other Jack Daniels car and the other Gary Rogers car.
And this is probably going to trigger a safety car, and Gary Rogers, at least he can smile.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, don't know whether to laugh or cry, and there's trouble here also. But
so that's who it was. It was
Safety car board to the flag, safety car board to the flag, safety car scramble, safety car scramble.
you know what? It was Will Davison.
Safety car now,
So what happened was that Todd Kelly and Marcus Marshall were like magnets to each other. They were stuck side by side again. Push turned into shove. Watch this as they come around on the inside. Look at the inside there. Marshall in the Irwin 26 car. Spin, spin, spin. Will Davison caught in a pickle. He gets jammed.
But there was something else going on back at the corner as well. So when we started to come back towards the corner, you could see that Shane Price and Michael Caruso are in trouble. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here where Marshall, Morris, and one of the HRT cars are up on the curbing. Not quite sure why that all happened.
So that's the result.
It was such a shame because race number 2 was a good, clean, fast race and a great driving display. There's some ordinary stuff going on out there at the moment.
wheel on. Buddy, it's up.
Looks like another smash-up derby, doesn't it? We'll take a break here, let them clean it all up, and hopefully we can go racing after this. Then it's Coulthard and Rick Kelly. Hold your breath, folks. Here comes turn 1.
CPS window open, mate. Confirm window open.
I think you'll find that driving standards observer Thomas Mazera, the investigating prosecuting officer Peter Wallerman and the stewards are going to take a pretty dim view when people are racing off the racetrack, that is on these traffic islands, and creating scenarios that are difficult to manage and trigger incidents. They've already warned everybody about it. A couple of things that have happened earlier this year. Look at all the debris on the racetrack here. What is that?
I don't know, but Scaife just caught a piece of it as he went over. I'll tell you who looked pretty aggressive off the restart there probably was Mark Winterbottom. The start of this lap, he was 7th.
Little margin now for Tander. This has been the pattern of the weekend. James Courtney in turn's got some space for Stephen Richards. Cam McConville's under assault. He had a scruffy set of tyres to start this 3rd race on, but the set that he goes on to are good tyres, so he expected to be in a much better position, and that's why he's coming into the pit lane now to get off the scruffy rubber and onto the good stuff.
Jason Richards has gone with him. Craig Lowndes has gone in there.
26 even for Garth Tander, and just on a 1-second margin over James Courtney. So Richards, Lowndes.
There's going to be some traffic. We have to hold. Okay, what? Go.
Voice of Kevin May, and inserting Lowndes between Jason Richards and Russell Ingall.
That was pretty nice in the end. Our thanks too to Jamie Whincup for giving us his insights earlier in race 2. He's a good fella. It must be a pretty tough weekend. His championship lead is gone. He didn't get in a race. Had a big crash in qualifying. So thank you to Jamie and Team Vodafone. Back to business we go with Garth Tander.
There's a problem for Greg Murphy. I can hear that he's pretty animated on the radio at the moment.
Tyre condition, GT. Give me a read on tyre condition.
It's Matt Nilsson Fabian Coulthard in, asking Tander whether he wants to re-pressure the incoming tyre set for the rear. So as soon as he gets a moment, he'll think about whether he needs to make a variation for those pressures, the starting pressures for the second tyre set. And here's Murphy. And he's
turning through the left, through the right, bloody handers.
So something's either broken.
GPS light off. Have to all four.
He's made contact with something again. It's carbon copy, I think, of the second race. And there's a drive-through penalty for Jason Richards, but I haven't established why. Now, just backtracking that, it's as a result of the contact with Tony D'Alberto. So Richards been given a penalty for the contact with D'Alberto.
Conditions will really start to change now. The sun will start to drop lower, more shadows across the circuit. The temperature will start to drop too.
Here's the drive-through for the Sprint Gas entry. The Jason Richards 25.4 best lap for Garth Tander. Coulthard's climbed up in front of Cam McConville, so some handy pit work there. Or did he do it on the racetrack?
He did it on the track. He got him quite cleanly, actually.
Sorry, my head's spinning around in all directions at the moment, and obviously I missed that one. 24.9 now for Garth Tander. Pardon me.
You've been railed in the chicane. Hey! Hello, mama. Zinger replay catching just another moment for Will Davison. Like he needs that.
Simple reason is the bonnet pins are not in it. Man. So he's navigating, looking out.
Let's see how he does this one.
The field's coming up behind you, mate, right now.
It's probably the cleanest chicane entry and exit all weekend. That's just a disastrous situation for Will. And as you heard there on the radio, some traffic coming his way.
They're parking Greg's car.
Jack it back up, Bob.
Go-Jack's under the back of it, so they'll wheel it into the garage.
Right down.
Yeah, reason for that again, Neil, is he suffered damage to the front. We talked throughout the weekend about that steering plate connecting onto the bottom arms, etc. That is exactly the same problem again for Greg Murphy.
So the quickest lap of the race.
Light off, CPS light off. And Jacks to 2.
Rick Kelly went with him. James Courtney and Stephen Richards staying out.
1:24.975. Garth's quickest lap of this race.
Over now, yep. Slow down, slow down. Go.
Nice job. Fabian Coulthard's done a very fast split to the second sector, and so has Mark Winterbottom to the end of the first sector, just exiting turn 3. So expect to see some good times jumping up here on their fresher rear rubber. There's the shot from Will Davison's car as he looks through the few millimetres at the base of the screen, and he's in the pit lane now. You can see his guys there smash the screen. And V8 Supercar officials just making sure that the car's safe.
On the last pit stop, Will Davison's bonnet, they just forgot to put the clips back in it. You saw what happened very clearly. They got it back in, as you see. They bashed that into shape. And the ruling is that you must have 2 clips in the bonnet for it to be deemed safe and back on track. They've done that. They got 3 in.
I think that his problems have already completely chopped into his race. Here's Stephen Richards.
Efficient stop for Stephen Richards. There's the effective race leader, Garth Tander. Now, does Stephen hang on in front of Rick Kelly? Answer to that question is yes. Jason Richards done a very quick time for the second sector on this lap. That's on the approach up to turn 6.
So James Courtney's the other one. He leads this race on the road. He'll fly back into that pack, assuming everything goes right for him in pit lane. It's a good start to this weekend for Stephen Richards. His first pole position in 3 years. He's been on the race podium for both of these 2 races, 3rd in race 1 and 2nd in race 2.
Tell you what, Rick's hustling here at the moment. He's trying to look for an advantage while he's in position. Oh, hang on. Car 7, black flag, pit lane drive-through penalty for Todd Kelly. Yeah, Rick looks pretty racy there at the moment while Stephen's tyres come up to temperature. Searching high and low for a way round in the early part of this lap. It'll be hard now because Stephen's car will be starting to feel pretty normal.
Garth Tander's tyres have come up beautifully. Lap record 124.582.
And so the reason for the Todd Kelly penalty, I believe, will be the contact on the exit of turn 2, and there's James Courtney having done his stop, and he's dropped in just in front of Rick Kelly and separated Kelly from Richards. He's got cold tyres, remember, so he's got his hands full here for the first half of this lap. Up the inside here. Not an easy thing to do, and he'll be careful if he locks the brake here. He runs wide at 5, but he managed to wrestle it. That was an opportunity, but now it's going to be very difficult in the second half of the track. When James would first leave the pit lane, when those pressures are down a little, back of the car feels like it's rolling around, the car's sliding a bit in the rear. It's got to be a little bit more sensible in your throttle application. Not lean on the car as aggressively with the steering wheel.
Keep it nice and smooth. 1 more for it to go.
With the steering wheel turn rate, you've just got to coax the car into the corner a little, and then from about halfway through that lap, it will be beginning to feel pretty right. James can get on with racing with Rick. Let's enjoy this onboard lap here with Rick Kelly under the trees in the shadows on the run down to turn 2.
Kelly serving his penalty in pit lane. You see how tricky communication is around the back of the circuit, not just for us, but for the drivers back to their teams.
Paul Morris has got a pit lane drive-through penalty as well for a driving infringement. That was Todd Kelly serving his. Morris has one as well. Busy trying to unravel those incidents from earlier as now Mark Winterbottom does his compulsory stop. Just overshot slightly.
Go, 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 go.
When he comes out, Neil, he's going to find a lot of traffic beside him. Look at it all coming.
Richards, Courtney, Kelly, Coulthard, and McConville. And he's going to drop in behind Rick, who just covers.
So effectively, Frosty comes back out in 5th spot.
Just eases to the right there to make sure that Coulthard can't get a run on him while those tyres are vulnerable. Car slides off the exit of turn 3 at the Ford left-hander. displayed by Fabian this weekend in that 111 entry. Remember, Paul Cruikshank Racing, Glenford's Tools Ford, they run that number as a mark of respect to Mark Porter, and they're all racing for the Mark Porter Trophy this weekend. Beautiful carved stone from the South Island, ironically carved by the nephew of Burt Munro, the world's fastest Indian fame. Little hesitation there before they could dispatch the Jim Beam car. Shane Van Gisbergen is the leader at the moment as Stephen Johnson rejoins. Effective race leader Garth Tander is up to 6th at this point as everybody cycles through their compulsory stops. Going back and backtracking for the car 67 pit lane drive-through penalty. That was for driving up on the Holden curbing at turn 2 for Paul Morris. Remember, we made reference to that earlier. I said that I doubted that they'd take too kindly to that. They were warned at the team managers and drivers briefings about that on Friday. And now Will Davison's got another problem here. Turn 6.
Bit of heartache for the Queensland Ford teams, but one who's showing a bit of promise out here this weekend is Cruikshank Racing, going well.
Yeah, it's going good, Daniel. It's the car's been good ever since we got here, and Fabian's obviously pretty charged up about his home round, so it's so far so good.
Well, it's your home round too. You're a Kiwi as well.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, a home round's always, you know, it's pretty special. And this weekend is a big weekend for us, and you know, we're using Mark Porter's number here this weekend, and he's a Hamilton boy, so it's extra special. So if we can just get it home, it'll be great.
It's great showing so far. Good luck.
Thanks, Daniel.
Fabulous to see those guys getting some reward, a little bit of sugar for years of hard work, and helped along by that change of chassis for 2008. It's a former 888 chassis last year used by Lowndes, a car that's had success with known settings and geometry that they know to work, and that's really given them a boost. Shane Van Gisbergen, Kiwi, leads the field. Kane Scott from Team Kiwi is second. They're yet to take their compulsory stops, and then Garth Tander's third. He's the first driver in the queue who's done the compulsory stop.
Boy, Jim Beam Racing are having a hard weekend. Will Davison's reported into the crew. They don't know exactly what the problem is. They've just shut the thing down at this age. They'll get it in and have a good look, but it has been a tough weekend for Jim Beam Racing.
Almost always follows one of those all-nighters that you can guarantee there's other problems creep in as a result. Throws the rhythm of the team, and you've got a strong possibility and probability of finger trouble, and despite best efforts by lots of people, it makes for a very tough time when they have a drama like that. I think they did a remarkable job even to get Will out there in car 18 on Saturday and even climb back up through the field, so I'm sure they'll regroup. He's had a couple of very good outings in Melbourne and in Adelaide. Be pretty strong again in Perth. Here's the fellow that leads the race at the moment, SP Tools, Stone Brothers Racing, Shane Van Gisbergen. Got the looming spectre of a penalty, though. If he misbehaves between now and the end of December, it's a pretty tough sentence, because it's easy to misbehave in V8 supercar racing. Fined $5,000 for 2 incidents in race 2. 3,000 of that suspended until the end of the year. But if he makes a mistake, he'll quickly cop an invoice for the balance. Race leader's got some fresh air there behind him.
He's hardly made a mistake all weekend. He is currently third on road with Van Gisbergen and Scott yet to pit.
So good recovery here for FPR to get Richards back into effectively second with Courtney behind, so that addresses the issue at the start when Richo dropped the clutch and it bogged down momentarily.
Close to race, stand amazing. Keep it up.
The conditions are starting to change. You can see the shadows getting longer and longer. You have to say there's still more drama to come here at the Hamilton 400. Stephen Richards is doing a very solid job. He's been right up there in terms of matching pace with Tander. He's got his second position back. Cam McConville. His real position will be 7th. Stan Kane Scott is coming to do his stop, so he's about to, so Van Gisbergen will be left. Then it'll be a run to the flag. Entry, car 16. He came over here the Easter weekend and took a whole stack of video, came back and was actually over here with Murph. Took it all back to show his teammate Rick Kelly, and they sat and studied everything. You just never know until you get to a street circuit, especially a brand new one where all the little nuances hide. This part of the circuit was never going to hide. It was always going to be tough, and it's proven that way right across the 3 races. 888, Craig Lowndes in 10th.
Matty, indications from Stone Brothers that they'll bring Van Gisbergen in the next couple of laps. If it's a good stop, their computer software says it should put him out behind their old driver, Russell Ingall.
All right, that'd have him inside the top 15. Gibbo. Shane started way back in 26th. So a pretty good net gain.
It's not done yet, but it's looking like a pristine weekend for Garth Tander, qualifying on the front row, position 2. Win in race 1, win in race 2. On target for the possibility of a win in race 3 and a lap record so far.
Pretty handy. He has had the perfect weekend of pole victory, 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 and that was at WA last year, and that is where we're headed next round.
And if you factor in the non-championship round in Melbourne several weeks ago, correct, 3 wins there, so he's on for the possibility of race win number 6 in a row at the moment, and that's not something often done in the modern era of V8 supercar racing.
We said about this new circuit that you've got more to be gained here by being smart than fast. He's managed to put both of them together. Smart driving, good teamwork, and a fast car. And look at the result. He's been untouched. Matter of fact, probably I was just sitting here before watching him thinking, has there been any glitches? Has there been any trouble?
It's amazing, guys, what you were saying earlier, Neil, about when you get on a roll and the bad luck that Jim Beam Racing has had this weekend. I've wandered into the Holden Racing Team garage where Garth Tander is just cruising along beautifully at the moment, and the contrast couldn't be more different. They are so relaxed down here. They've just taken in their stride at the moment. In fact, they almost need to get the banana lounges out. They are that relaxed at the Holden Racing Team.
That's what I was thinking. The body language says it all, doesn't it?
That gave us an indication when we just held that shot for you down there on the southern end of the circuit, what the top 16 looked like. Took you back to Michael Caruso, gave you an idea of the gaps rather than just the time margins between everybody. Yes, it's seemingly cruising along, but I mean, working quite hard to achieve it in the workshop and at the racetrack and then in the cockpit. The remarkable thing about Garth's run at the moment, and it doesn't always, of course, end up this way in this caper, but super smooth. Look at his hands when you just get a little glimpse of the red gloves. He turns in one gentle, sweeping move. All very deliberate, not hurry. Doesn't look fussed in the cockpit at all. But believe me, if you're in there, that thing's within a millimetre of its life everywhere. He's driving hard, squeezing every last little bit of tyre performance out of the car, but it's beautifully balanced. It's not sliding. We're not seeing any corrections. We're not seeing any lock brakes. We're not hearing any missed gears. Look at that turn in. He barely needs to change the arc that he turns. Maybe a fractional adjustment in the mid-corner. That's it.
And his body language out of the car, Cromley, suggests that as well. He's just very confident, very calm about the whole weekend.
Watch for the shift lights on the wheel. He takes the visual cue, grabs the next gear, flat shifts, then starts to think about the braking reference point for turn 1. Blip, blip, blip. And the sequential gearbox in that car as Van Gisbergen now takes that stop. A little bit slow on the left rear.
Go, 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 go. Righto, you're going to have a bit of traffic. Push hard, use the tyres while you can.
Paul Dumbrell's in a battle there with Craig Lowndes for 9th and 10th as well. And Shane's going to come out just behind Mark Scaife, and that'll make him 16th. It's a line ball whether he's behind him, but certainly close.
And I'm corrected, that'll be 15th.
Mark ended up out wide there and couldn't pull the car up on the dirty road, so Shane did a good job to hang on cold tyres down there and hold his position. He may be vulnerable for the next half a lap or so. Paul Morris. But Paul's had a drive-through penalty. Just taken him out of the regular sequence. Jason Bright, Russell Ingall, Shane Van Gisbergen. Flapping like a rag in the breeze down there across the top of the curves. Actually using quite a bit of curve on the inside of turn 5 just to get the car nestled in there. Scapie's flicked the lights on to try and distract him and has a look. I don't know that he's going to stop it. He has. Nice move, but marginal. Oh, they're going to argue the point. Where does this end up?
Good racing. That was fun to watch. Van Gisbergen squeezing everything out of the SP Tools Ford. He was told to push, and he's answering the call from the garage, so
he's actually
held on to it beautifully.
Done a nice job, hasn't he? But he's right on the ragged edge at the moment. He's going to have to be careful. As I said before, he does have a sentence hanging over him, and they've asked him just to... Dave Stewart, Jimmy Stone, they're enjoying it.
And now Shane's got the lights on, I think.
The problem with this horse is that they have to woe him down a little bit rather than G him up. Van Gisbergen is showing signs of plenty of pace. He's done a couple of things this weekend that have required the driving standards observer just to woe him back a bit.
I'd much rather see the giddy up than the woe, thanks.
With Ross Stone. Hey, your young boy's all right, isn't he?
Oh. Yeah, he's going good. Sort of a rough weekend for him. No result to speak of, but no, he's going good. He's got good speed, and we're looking forward to the rest of the year.
Oh, we'll leave it there. Bridie's just gone off, boys.
Yeah, he has up at turn 5. Gibbo.
Yeah, I wonder what that was all about. He was up there at turn 5. He was in 12th position. A little brush with the wall yesterday, and generally been in the wars a bit, unfortunately, the Fujitsu entry. Here it is again in replay. Wow, he arrived at 5 with a pile of pace. Did a bit of a flick spin to try and catch it, but didn't work out. Lucky there's some space up there.
That grandstand's seen some action. All of them have. Take a look at the people here.
Take a look at the margin Garth Tander's got on Stephen Richards, 3.4 seconds.
James Courtney is third. This is a corrected order, so we're racing to the flag now. Lap 24 at 36. It's been a sellout weekend here at Hamilton. The Kiwis have just done an awesome job in getting this event together. BigPondSport.com will wrap up this round for you live and on demand, so you can watch all the videos. There's quite a healthy highlights reel out of this event. But congratulations to all involved in the Hamilton 400. It's been a super effort. We've got a yellow flag down there at turn 1.
Safety car.
Okay, turn 3 is where the action is.
It's Carnaby. I'll just hold on to that remark until it reveals itself.
Here we go. So Paul Dumbrell and Cam McConville. Crunch down at 2.
Yeah, well, this is an incident, but I don't know whether it's a reason to be throwing the SC flags at the moment, but maybe Dumbrell's got a problem.
I I think he has pulled up down there at turn 4. I heard our race director, Tim Schenken, say that car was stuck down at 3, which is right there at the exit of 3, up the back straight. So the Autobarn car 16 is...
Either flat tyre or some steering damage as a result of that contact.
And what about Cam McConville? Has he got any damage after that? Garth Tander has a 3.5 second lead, had a 3.5 second lead.
And you know what? When you compress the field and you release the lines again afterwards, invariably there's been trouble this weekend. So we're not far from the end of proceedings here. Let's hope we get some clean running to the end.
All right, the field is now being rounded up. The WPS safety car has been extremely busy this weekend. And now another question that faces this man. Hold off the rest, this compressed field, and take it all the way for a clean sweep.
Just took a little bit of that room away, and that was it.
Bit of hard work too for the boys, because you replace some valve springs overnight as well.
Yeah, but that's not a regular thing, but you know, that's just takes a bit of time. So yeah, unfortunately we're a little bit of midnight oil, but a good bunch of guys here, and that's what keeps the team ticking well.
Hard luck again. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
Thoughts of Eric Pender in control down there at the dealer team. So Fabian Coulthard just gone past us in 6th position. Mark Winterbottom's 1 slot ahead of him. Quickly run you through the top 10 before we get this restart, Cromley, so we know who's where. Tander, Richards and Courtney 1, 2 and 3. Rick Kelly is 4th. Mark Winterbottom 5th. Fabian 6th. Cam McConville 7th. Craig Lowndes is 8th. Andrew Jones is 9th. And Stephen Johnson 10th.
Well, guys, Lee Holdsworth certainly knows how tough this circuit could be. Lee, it's been a hard weekend for you.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it was going great up until that last race. The last race, you know, I got off to a bad start, and it all went downhill from there. I came through the chicane and just pushed a little bit too hard and hit the curbs pretty hard, and it sent the car sideways and launched me into the wall. So disappointing, and a lot of work ahead for the guys.
They say you never learn unless you do push the limits, so you've gained something from that.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll learn from it. I've found the limit now. Just need to step it back a level. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to have to push on and try and put it behind me and concentrate on next round.
Lee, your view of the Hamilton circuit, have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a brilliant circuit. I mean, the first time here, they've done a brilliant job, and there's probably a couple of things that we need to address for next year. One being the chicane. Some of the curbs through there are very violent and very hard on the car. And but for the first time at it, Hamilton have done a great job.
Lee, thanks very much. We'll see you in Perth.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barretts. Lee found the limit all right. The limit around here is concrete, and it hurts. We're still got one more lap of the safety car to go, so we'll take a break. We will come back, and we'll have the closing stages of the Hamilton 400 on 7. Down to single figures in laps remaining of race 3, round 3, the V8 Supercar Championship of 2008. And our defending series champion Garth Tander leads them off again. Courtney against Rick Kelly.
Not a great place for Rick to be on the outside there of turn 1. He's dropped back in behind James now. He's trying to make an opportunity in this early phase of the cool tyre period when they're 3 wide down here at 2. History shows us it hasn't worked. They managed to sort it out this time. Tander is fantastic on these cold tyre restarts. Off the start line, where you've got genuinely cold tyres from the start of the race itself, and in the actual restart process. It's happening more than just here and there. It's a habit, and he does it well. And car number 14, Cam McConville's been given a black flag and a drive-through penalty. I guess that's for what happened at turn 2. I'm a bit surprised, but it's been given. That'll wipe the smile off the faces of those in the WOW Racing, Brad Jones Racing camp.
Ooh, Jason Richards and Michael Patrizzi. That was off the restart down at 1. Watch this. Whack.
The margin, Tans, he did that. It's 0.97 of a second at the end of that lap. Earlier on, it was exactly 1 second after one of the restarts. So, I mean, he's able to put a second on people on a cool tyre restart. That's pretty impressive.
These top 3 have put a little bit of distance in between them and Rick Kelly in 4th. Not much, but there it is.
Cam McConville's being informed that he's got to do that drive-through. Real shame. Bit surprised that he's got that penalty. I don't think there was ever any realistic passing move for Paul Dumbrell on the outside of McConville on the braking approach to 2. They may view it as what they regard an avoidable accident or incident. That could be the reason why that view's been taken. I think probably what they haven't liked is Cameron moving from the right side of the road to the left side of the sort of centre to the left side of the road. Here he is. That's going to ruin the weekend for them.
Unbelievable, that is. It's absolute hogwash. Like all I did was move half the car over to make the corner. Like surely you would have at least had both sides of the story after the race. Just ruin the weekend, but good on you.
Here it is again. To me, there's nothing non-standard about what Cameron's done on the approach there. What is non-standard is trying to pass someone on the outside of turn 2. But anyway, it's the call.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a tough weekend in the judiciary for a lot of the awkward calls, and I think on balance the guy's done a really good job up here adjudicating that stuff, but I'm just cloudy on that one.
Result is Cameron McConville's race 3 top 10 finish. What he was well and truly in line for is now no longer. The order is this: Garth Tander, Stephen Richards and James Courtney. Rick Kelly 4th. You're riding with 5th place, Mark Winterbottom. Behind him is Fabian Coulthard. 7th is Craig Lowndes. 8th, Stephen Johnson. He'll come into shot there. Then Andrew Jones, Russell Ingles, Shane Van Gisbergen, Mark Skaife. The lead for Tander is now 1.3 seconds.
Track's really cooled out now also, Matthew. We started the race with air at 22 and track surface temp at 27. Air's now 20 and the track's 23. Slightly trickier conditions, especially at the restart, but it hasn't been a problem for Tander.
It doesn't look as though he's in any trouble yet, Rick Kelly, but it's pretty much what happened in race 2. Remember, he started just fade off a little bit and they started to attack him. Winterbottom's trying to have a crack here, but Rick is being very solid.
Yeah, I asked Rick about that. He said it was no real problem. He said he certainly wasn't a brake issue or even a balance issue with the carb. He said once we dropped track position with the tardy stop in race 2, I got down the order. I had to use more of the rear tyres to initially race his brother. And then he had a bit of a move put on him by Lee Holdsworth, and he had to sidestep that. And then once you kind of get out of your rhythm and you lose a spot or two, you use more of the car to hold your position or even try and regain one. On this instance, or in this instance, I don't know that he's got any issue. Having a bit of a slide here and there, like that.
Great job, mate. Nice and smooth, nice and smooth. Have a drink.
Might be just end of the weekend and just getting down to the bottom of the tyre pile now. Certainly
at sunrise.
Aye, aye, Captain.
So you gotta admit, pretty cool room, huh?
Yeah, cool.
Did you brush your teeth?
Yep.
All right. Well, I will see you in the morning. You know, if I ruled the world, there'd be a permanent ban on television and computerized games. It's amazing watching a kid read a book.
Sometimes I think Nikki reads too much.
Oh, impossible.
She treats life sometimes like it's a novel.
Well, sometimes life is like...
The championship, that is. The lead of the race by 1.2 seconds goes to Garth Tander at the moment. See that gap ahead for Rick Kelly and James Courtney. The top three have really pulled away. So if they finish like this right now, Rick Kelly would be 672. Tander's done a terrific job. He's put 300 in the bank for the weekend.
Great job, mate. Keep it nice and smooth. 3 to go.
And rescued what was a pretty slow start points-wise to his defence of his title.
Have a look at the brake rotors here. Big brake pressures from the drivers on the approach into one. They say there's good grip available down there on the road, and it's reflected in the temperatures you can see in the brake rotor through the rim. Van Gisbergen up on the inside of Ingle, who's done a great job to recover to get inside the top 10 after a shocker in race number 2. Just thinking about Rick Kelly and looking at the body language on the car, it's sliding around a bit more in the rear than it was in race 2. And I look back at my notes from talking to him, and he said, we're going to try and make the car turn a little better for this last race, and I'll just deal with it. If it gets oversteery, I'll deal with it with my right foot. Well, I think maybe we've gone just a little bit too far, and it's just hurt the tyres at the back end of the race.
That move that you saw put Shane Van Gisbergen into 10th and Ingle back to 11th.
Trouble here for Kane Scott in the wall. Turn 3. Safety car, no doubt, with 3 laps to go. That's assuming he can't start it and get it out of there. Now, that's a very awkward spot.
He's the first to go in that short. Oh, okay, so he's still found the concrete, but didn't carry maximum pace into there. One of the guys that have had trouble have gone much deeper into that turn. And Kane Scott throws up another interesting scenario. 2 full laps to go. Yellow flags.
And the race director, Tim Schenken, doesn't like to deploy safety cars when there's only a very limited amount of racing to run. Doesn't like the race to finish under yellow. So got double yellows down there. And looks as though he's going to take the risk. Once he lets cars go by racing like that, I'd say that he's going to take the risk to let the event run. It is off the racing line there, and we haven't seen any other cars, certainly in the V8 Supercar field. I've not seen any cars in that spot, so it's probably a good decision. A little hard in mount. I thought for sure that that would trigger the safety car, but it hasn't. So Tander, just a whisker over 1 second margin to Richards, who's now eased away from Courtney. There's been much between these 3 guys across the weekend.
And in the battle that we were watching earlier between Kelly and Winterbottom, the last lap, Rick Kelly in 4th.
Last lap, they are leaving that car there. That car is through the wall.
It was about 2 or 3 tenths of a second quicker than Winterbottom. There they are, still going at it for 4th and 5th. Coulthard heading for his best finish in a V8 Supercar race.
Lowndes is certainly threatening behind Coulthard at the moment as well.
There's some kind of performance from Fabian Coulthard to come here with all the distractions that goes on with being a local at a brand new event. And he's managed to put 3 top 10 efforts in. Nine out of the 12 staff members at Paul Cruikshank Racing at Kiwis. I reckon there's going to be a party once they pack up tonight. this weekend has completely belonged to this man, Garth Tander. The 2007 V8 Supercar champion has been unflappable and unstoppable since we got off to a start in race 1 of the Hamilton 400. They've come to a new circuit and they have delivered beautifully. He's a road warrior. And it's a clean sweep. Stephen Richards second, James Courtney good.